Today I am going to teach you about the Jewish calendar. This is also known as the Hebrew calendar. Hebrews were people who lived in what is now Israel, descended from Isaac, Abraham's son. After the exodus from Egypt, they established the kingdoms of Israel and Judah, and their scriptures and traditions formed the basis of the Jewish religion. Jewish time is determined by the sun and moon and is in natural sync with their cycles. Their days are 24 hours, just like ours, determined by the amount of sunlight reaching the earth as it rotates on its axis. In the Western world, a day begins in the middle of the night and lasts until the next midnight. The Jewish day is also ruled by the sun, but is more surrounding the obvious visual aspect of the day. Judaism measures its day from one evening to the next. So, how do you tell when the day really starts and ends? Rabbis determined that the new day begins the moment the sun sinks below the horizon. This comes from Genesis 1. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Our secular days begin when everyone's asleep, but the Jewish day begins with night and ends with daylight. This is why all Jewish holidays begin in the evening before the first day of the observance. The evening before the day is seen as the new calendar day. The first story of creation in Genesis 1 also establishes the 7-day week, 6 days of work followed by a sacred day of rest, the Sabbath, or Shabbat. Besides the 7th day, Shabbat, none of the days of the week have a name in Judaism. They are known as the first, second, third, and so on. The Jewish calendar has been used for centuries and is significantly rooted in the past. It is one of the most unique and complex calendars ever created and plays a vital role for millions around the world. The Jewish calendar is a hybrid of lunar and solar time, or lunisolar, just like the ancient Macedonian, Babylonian, Egyptian, and Chinese calendars. Months are based on lunar months, and years are based on solar years. The thing that makes it all so complicated is that they tried to match two completely different aspects of time with two separate natural phenomena. Most units of time come from the Babylonians, who were the first great astronomers. They said weeks are meant to be coordinated with the 4 phases of the moon: the new moon, the first quarter, the full moon, and the last quarter. Based on these 4 moon phases, 4 weeks make approximately a month. Months are determined by the revolution of the moon around the earth. Each month begins with a molad, which means birth in Hebrew, and it refers to the time of the new moon. It took years to calculate the length of the cycle from one moon to the next, which is 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 31.3 seconds. The length of a lunar cycle is about 29.5 days, but a month needs a whole number of days. Because of this, the Jewish calendar alternates months of 29 and 30 days, equaling 354 days in a year. Even months usually have 29 days, and odd months have 30 days. The Gregorian calendar is the standard world calendar and strictly follows the solar year. It no longer correlates with the phases of the moon and has to insert an extra day every 4 years, which is called a leap year. This is what becomes complicated with the Jewish calendar, for it still corresponds with the lunar phases as well as the solar year. The Gregorian calendar has 365 days and is solar, while the Jewish calendar has 354 days and is lunisolar. This is why they don't match up, as they have an 11-day difference. Since the lunar 12-month year is a few days shorter than the solar year, if Judaism strictly followed the lunar calendar, their holidays would eventually fall in the wrong seasons. For example, this would mean sometimes they would celebrate Hanukkah, the midwinter festival of lights, in the middle of the summer. In an attempt to coordinate the traditional lunar year with the solar year, they've added an entire leap month. Because of this, the Jewish festivals fluctuate by a month or so in relation to the Gregorian calendar, but still take place around the same time of year. The 13th leap month came after the Israelites in ancient times had to account for the imperfections of the lunar calendar. To correct the inaccuracies, they came up with 19-year cycles with 7 leap years. They add a month every 3rd, 6th, 8th, 11th, 14th, 17th, and 19th year. Every 2 to 3 years in the 19-year cycle are leap years, or embolism years, meaning year with 13th month. Regular years have 12 months with 354 days, and their leap years have 13 months with 384 days. Both common and leap years can be a day shorter, which is called a deficit year, with 353 days, or 383 on a leap year. They can also be a day longer, which is called a complete year, with 355 days, or 385 on a leap year. These alterations are designed to prevent Rosh Hashanah and other holidays from falling on certain days of the week. Before the Babylonian Empire existed, Moses set up a calendar based on Exodus 12:2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. From this he made the first month Abib. This would later serve as the first month in the Jewish calendar. In the pre-Babylonian era, we find in the scriptures only 4 months identified by name. The first month, Abib, which is later changed to Nisan. The second month, Tsiv, changed to Iyar. The 7th month, Iranim, changed to Tishri. And the 8th month, Bul, changed to Cheshvan. The other months were just known by their place in the calendar, similar to the days of the week. They were just called the 3rd, 4th, and 5th months, and so on. The 4 named months would also usually just be identified numerically. The Talmud says the modern names of the months came from Babylon. So, why were they changed? Anytime a person mentioned a month, he was recalling the Exodus from Egypt. For example, if you say it's the 6th month, you're implying that it's 6 months since the month of Exodus. The numerical system was an unwanted constant reminder. After they were delivered from Babylonian captivity, they started using the calendar names as they were used in Babylon. Now these names remind them that God redeemed them from exile. These names derived from Babylon make up the modern Jewish calendar months. Here are the 12 months as well as the time they fall in the Gregorian calendar. The first month is Nisan. The second month is Iyar. The third month is Sivan. The 4th month is Tammuz. The 5th month is Ab. The 6th month is Elul. The 7th month is Tishri. The 8th month is Cheshvan. The 9th month is Kislev. The 10th month is Tevet. The 11th month is Shavat. The 12th month is Adar. When there is a 13th month, it falls directly after Adar and is called the second Adar. This is where the 12 months fall on the Gregorian calendar. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't Tishri the first month? Well, yes, that's when they celebrate the new year, but it isn't actually the first month. Nisan is. It is complicated to determine what marks the Jewish New Year. Nisan is the first month of the year, but the year number changes on Rosh Hashanah on the 1st of Tishri, the 7th month. The calendar has different years serving different purposes, similar to us having a school year that starts in September and a calendar year that starts in January. There are 4 kinds of New Year celebrations. The first of Nisan. This celebration is in the spring, and it marks the beginning of the new biblical and religious year, and is the first month. The first of Elul. This is the new year for animal tithes, and is the 6th month. The 15th of Shavat. This is called Tu B'Shavat, and is the new year for harvest, or the new year of trees. It is the 11th month. Finally, the 1st of Tishri. This is also known as Rosh Hashanah, the first day of the 7th month. It is known as when the world was created and is the biggest and most celebrated new year, as well as when the number of the year changes. The history of the Jewish calendar is divided into 3 periods. Biblical. This period was between Abraham's call to enter Canaan and Jacob's entry into Egypt. It was when the understanding of the calendar was based entirely upon the observance of the sun and moon. This means it was only determined by visual evidence of time changing. Talmudic. This period was around 500 BCE. It rested upon observance and reckoning. This was when the calendar started transitioning into being logically calculated, but still relied on the visual of passing time. Post-Talmudic. This period was about 690 BCE to the 11th century. It rested entirely upon reckoning. This is when the months in the calendar had been completely accurately recalculated mathematically. The Jewish calendar started at the time of creation, which is placed at 3761 BCE. Their current year in 2020 to 2021 is 5781. The difference between our years and theirs is that they don't use Jesus' death to break up the middle. If you add 3761 to 2020, you get 5781. This means we're on the same wavelength of what year it is, but they just measure it differently. The Jewish calendar may seem unnecessarily complicated, but it is insanely accurate. It has some exceptions, but it is designed to satisfy requirements in Jewish Holy Scripture, or in the Torah. In the past, it was mainly used to establish dates for holidays where the corresponding portions of the Torah were read to the public. After the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, it wasn't easy for people to meet and read these passages. As a result, they made a fixed, rule-based form of the calendar. The calendar is still used today for Jewish observances and is the official calendar of Israel. But most Jewish people and Israelis use the Gregorian calendar in their everyday lives and casual affairs. Hopefully today you've learned something about the history and culture of Judaism. Thank you for watching!